First permanency planning hearing in this case as it relates to mom's progress. And it looks like we still have a putative father issue potentially as well. So I look forward to the updates. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Lee Heiss, lawyer, guardian ad litem.
Ms. Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Brinker.
Christy Brinker, foster care worker.
Michael Brooks, I represent the father, Skylar Stage.
Good. At last we saw him was at Hillsdale County Jail. I don't see the jail logged in.
He may be in Indiana now.
Have you heard from your client by any chance, Mr. Brooks?
No.
A witness on this point, Ms. Thomas, or would you prefer to address it during the direct of your witness?
I can, if Ms. Brinker wants to be sworn, if you can please swear in Ms. Brinker to provide report. I do know that she gave that information to Mr. Powell in hopes that we could obtain.
There he is.
I think that. Thanks.
Hello, could you give us your name, please?
Skylar Stage.
Very good, thank you.
Michael McFarland, representing mother, Bonnie McGee. Please introduce yourself. Just saw her up there.
Yeah, she was here. Ms. McGee, can you hear us?
Hopefully she'll rejoin us, Your Honor.
Agreed. Very well. She always has the opportunity to join us in person as well as she so chooses. All right, your report, Ms. Heiss, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. I visited with the children in person and got to hold Monroe when she was brand new. What a wonderful placement we have for these children in our community, and all of their needs are being met while mom has second victory, inpatient rehabilitation. I would ask you to consider that the plan in the court report is appropriate, and expecting visits is out of treatment. So the girls are progressing and developing, and I think I'm going to cut it short until we have the testimony. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Honor. If Ms. Brinker can now be sworn in.
Ms. Brinker. All right, proceed at will.
Thank you. Ms. Brinker, there's a report that we received for today's hearing, and on the cover page, it indicates, no cover page on this one, but as it relates to the court report, there is the case service plans for mom and dad, and the drug screens that are noted in your court report, and then a progress report as relates to mom. Is there anything else that you have circulated since submission of this court report in those documents?
No, there are no additional documents circulated. I do have an addition to the court report, though, that I do need to make.
Okay. Yes. Any updates or modifications, if you can provide those now?
Thank you. So I had checked with Ms. Dillon regarding the results from the DNA testing done with Monroe Stage and the father. The jail forgot to do the DNA testing that was originally scheduled for 3/29, and a new DNA test was ordered. It should have been received to the jail yesterday and administered, and the turnaround time on that should be about 2 weeks. So that is our latest update.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that update. And is there anything else?
That is it right now. Thank you.
Okay. As it relates to the parents' progress during this review period, how would you describe their level of compliance with and benefit from their case service plan?
And so if we could just start with Ms. McGee. She had kind of a rocky first half of the reporting period. She did give birth to Monroe. However, when we were in court last, she had tested positive for meth. We filed a show cause, and then that was held in abeyance. We went back for the removal of Monroe to court at the end of February, where she had asked referee Fields specifically to be drug tested every day, which I arranged for her to do at LDC in addition to our testing her during parenting times. She claimed she had forgotten to go testing. She did not engage with any of her counseling or outpatient services. And we were working on getting her into the inpatient treatment. Referee Fields recommended us that we pursue Dawn Farms, which she did check in there on March 18th, and her progress. I did speak with one of her counselors, and she is progressing well there and expected to be discharged next week.
Wonderful. And as it relates to Mr. Stage, I know that it's a little limited as to what progress can be made, but if you want to provide any highlights from your court report on that point.
Sure. So Mr. Stage has been communicating with me. He texted me. Apparently, he can now text from jail. So he has been in communication with me. I did schedule a visit for him last Thursday to do a virtual visit. Unfortunately, the jail was unable to accommodate, so I will be rescheduling that visit. But the last update I had is that he is still incarcerated until May, in which time he'll be transferred to Indiana.
Wonderful. I know that there, in your report, you have an indication about parenting time with mom during inpatient treatment, how his parenting time looked, and then when she is released, is there like a step down program, or how will parenting time take place after the 18th?
So I believe we have done Saturday to Saturday visits with her, where our staff has transported the girls up to her facility where she has been able to visit. One of the visits was held with her mother and father, and then last week's visit was just with Miss McGee. Those visits have been fine, no concerns. That is all that she's allowed to have in her space right now. So we are doing the maximum allowed. We are planning for when she gets out to going back to 3 days a week. She has requested that, and that's what our agency is planning for, is the 3 supervised visits a week.
Wonderful. And Your Honor, I'm sorry to ask this, but are we at a permanency planning hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
I can double check if you want.
No, I trust that. Ms. Brinker, for permanency for the children, what is
we should be, let me put it that way, but unfortunately, Ms. Fields did not set that for a permanency plan.
Okay, thank you. Well, then in that case, Ms. Brinker, if the court were to return the children to the care and custody of either parent today, I know that it might seem like a silly question, but can you just highlight the risk of harm?
Yes, of course. The risk, the removal of the children have not been rectified. As we know, Mr. Stage is still incarcerated and still facing criminal charges, so he does not have stable housing. Ms. McGee is, again, at inpatient treatment, also does not have stable housing.
Okay. And I know that in the historical context of this case, there might have been concern about mom and dad having communication. Do you know if it has been brought to your attention at all? If that's ongoing at all during this review period?
Since Ms. McGee, I know her communication was very limited with at her inpatient treatment. I don't have any knowledge of them having contact since she has been admitted. So since March 18th.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, with that, I have no further questions of Ms. Brinker and move to admit the court report with its attachments.
Objections?
No objection.
Now that my client has rejoined, no objections.
No objection.
They are received. Thank you. Cross-examination, Mr. Brooks.
No questions.
Mr. McFarland.
My presumption is that when my client gets out of rehab, she should immediately schedule an appointment with you. Is that correct?
Yes, we've been communicating.
Okay, just want to make sure. Is she still asking for daily drug testing when she gets out?
She's nodding her head, yes. We have not discussed the specifics. I am planning on touching base this week before she's discharged on Wednesday next week. So I'm planning on touching base this Friday to see what their recommendations were.
Well, I'm taking her nodding her head as an affirmation that she wants to be tested daily.
Yeah.
Is that something that can be accommodated?
It is already in place, yes.
Okay. I know she has a lot on her case service plan to accomplish. Where should her priorities be? If you could maybe put a couple of those in chronological order so she knows.
Yeah, absolutely. And she knows. We talk every time when we come out of court, and I reiterate every time I talk to her that her sobriety is her number one thing that she needs to focus on. Going to the outpatient program and engaging as much as possible. I think that the inpatient program has been really good for her and helped also reiterate that. And she has communicated that with me, that she already has an appointment with her outpatient therapist at McCullough and Vargas. And plans on going to peer groups and has another support person already in place. So she has a ton of stuff already in place. So that is absolutely her number one focus right now.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Nice.
Thank you. I noticed in your court report that you have a housing referral in. Isn't Dawn Farms able to help her with aftercare housing?
When I did check in initially, just to check on her progress last week, they said that that was something that we could talk about more as we got closer to discharge. I think that it's something that they offer more so towards their longer stay patients. But again, I'll definitely be exploring that possibility because I think that being in a supportive environment, supportive, sober environment is definitely what she needs.
And in addition, your report points out that the place she plans to live has had significant substance abuse history.
Correct, yes.
And that she's, before treatment, she was coming to visits and testing positive for methamphetamine at that time.
Correct.
Now, is mother okay with the placement of the children where they are?
Yeah, she is very happy with the placement. Placement has communicated with mom via email, sent Easter pictures, and keeps her updated on doctor's appointments and such with the girls.
I noticed in your report that there are many relatives interested in placement. They've been checked and denied at this point, correct?
Correct. And I have not heard from any of the relatives about placement during this reporting period.
In my experience, if any of those relatives cure their defects and request placement, it's healthier for the children to be moved sooner than later. Would you agree?
Yes.
And we all hope for mother the very best, but we do need to consider the children's permanence. I don't know that what I'm trying to say is it appropriate to leave it with the relatives to contact you, or should we reach out to make sure what their intentions are?
Again, Mr. Stage, when he did his virtual parenting visit back in February, his parents were present, and I have not heard from his parents since that visit. So they do know how to contact me if they wanted to do a visit, if they wanted to be reassessed for placement. Again, they have the letter, they know what they need to do, and they know how to reach me, so.
Did you say they have a letter?
Yes, they have all of the placements that were initially assessed, all received letters with what needed to be corrected in order for placement to occur.
Very well. Could you send those letters to me after this hearing?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
I think that would be a great resource for us to have actually also. Don't mind. Just with your next court report.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Gentlemen?
Nothing further?
No.
All right. Thank you for your testimony. We are returned to your seat. Testimony from any witnesses today, Mr. McFarland.
Let me see if Ms. McGee wishes to testify. Bonnie, do you wish to be sworn in to testify? She's nodding her head yes. You'll have to unmute yourself, please. Bonnie or Ms. McGee, you wish to add something today, is that correct?
Yes, I wrote a letter that I would like to read.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
If that's okay with the court.
Yes.
Yes, please do so.
I said addiction has taken the last 5 years of my life. Until 23 days ago, I didn't think I'd have the power to quit. To knock the
Okay,
addiction
slow
out.
down. Like, you gotta slow down a little bit because you're going too fast. I can't catch up.
And if you could speak up just a little louder, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. I said addiction's taken the last 5 years of my life. Until 23 days ago, I didn't think I'd have the power to quit, to knock the addiction out of my life for good. Only 2% of people that struggle from addiction get sober and stay sober. My goal is to be a part of that 2%, to beat the stigma, to prove that we do recover. In the 23 days that I've been here at Don Farm Sparrow Recovery Center, I've attended 46 AA/NA meetings. I've met many sober supports and have a home group at the Washtenaw Alano Club that all will be here for me the second I think of using. I don't feel alone in my battle of addiction anymore. Also, in the time that I've spent here, I've learned many coping mechanisms such as reading, meditating, going for a walk, praying, and many more. But the most important being to call my sober supports and going to meetings, which I don't feel is a chore for me anymore.
Oh,
We're gonna indulge her just a minute. We lost her momentarily. I hear she's rejoining.
I'm so sorry about that. My internet has kicked me off, so I am here by phone.
thank you for rejoining us. Ms. McGee also had a little trouble with hers, so I don't think you missed too much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We heard that it was not a burden to attend. That's where we last heard about Ms. McGee. Now we cannot hear you though. Stop. We have no audio.
Hear me now?
You can, go ahead. Where you left off, you said it was not a burden attending meetings anymore. And like that, she's gone. Your Honor, if it's okay with the court, I'm going to ask her to send me a copy of the letter and I will include it in our next hearing.
Certainly.
Ms. McGee, can you hear me? I cannot hear you again, but before you try, if you'll send us a letter at my office, I will make sure that letter is attached for our next court proceeding, okay? Or you can bring it to the next court proceeding and I'll have copies for everybody, either way. But I'll let you try to finish. Can we hear you? No, we can't hear you. Okay.
Can you give us a thumbs up if you can hear Mr. McGrath?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let's see how long it'll last.
Well, were you able to hear Mr. McFarland?
Yes.
Okay.
Could we maybe disable her visual, Your Honor? That may give us stronger audio.
It seems to be just completely dropping out. It doesn't appear to be a problem with her
Okay.
signal.
Okay, where you left off is attending meetings are not a burden anymore. Go ahead.
I have a sponsor and she was helping me work the 12 steps of AA. And I am thankful that I was sent here at the Don Farm, as the Don Farm way to recovery has honestly saved my life. Changed my addict brain into wanting sobriety, striving for it, because my precious daughters really do deserve a sober mom. And they'll get that forever. I will prevail. Thank you.
Does that conclude what you want to add?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to make sure we got you all. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
No.
No.
Ms. Heiss? Ms. Thomas, okay.
I have no questions. Thank you.
All right, very well. Mr. Brooks?
I'd like to hear from Mr. Stage briefly. All right, Mr. Stage, there is an infant, Monroe Do you believe that's your child?
Yes, sir.
Now, for reasons I don't totally understand, a DNA test was not, or sample was not taken when originally scheduled. Has it been taken now? Have you had one taken?
No, sir.
Anybody told you that it's forthcoming?
No, sir. I just heard the first of it when Ms. Brinker was speaking.
Okay. Now, you're in Hillsdale County, right?
Yes, sir, until the 20th.
And then you're gonna be transferred down to Ohio or Indiana?
I'm not for certain, but I'm pretty sure either Indiana or Branch County, one of the two.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand what you said.
Either Branch County or Steuben County. I don't know for certain.
Those are both in Ohio, right?
No, one's in Indiana and then the other one's here in Michigan.
Oh, okay. What is the charges that are pending against you down there?
Aggravated assault, great extent bodily harm, less than murder, unlawful imprisonment, and felony possession of a firearm.
Has there been a trial or is that all yet to begin, that process?
It's at the end process. I just had to accept the plea and be sentenced.
Nice. Is there anything else you'd like the court to know?
That I just want the best for my daughters. And when I get out, I'm going to do what I can to make sure that they're all right.
Anything else, sir?
Yeah, no, sir.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, questions for this witness, Ms. Thomas?
Sorry about that, Your Honor. I don't know if it's necessarily a question for this witness, as just a question for the court and for the attorneys. If the parents both agree that Mr. Stage is the youngest child's father, if they would be willing to attest to that to make him legal father during this hearing.
I can answer that. I have difficulty with that because so many cases that has happened, and then we've had a motion down the road for a real DNA test. So
Okay.
I think I'd rather just proceed with the DNA.
Okay,
That's
thank you. Then I have no questions.
Mr. Brooks, any more questions?
No.
Mr. McFarland?
No,
Ms. Heiss?
No questions.
Thank you for your testimony today, Mr. Stage.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anyone else you'd like to hear from, Mr. Brooks?
No, there's not.
Ms. Heiss?
No witnesses today. Thank you.
All right, I look forward to your comments in closing then, counselors. Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Judge. At this time, we are just asking for a standard review. We are grateful that Ms. McGee is an inpatient treatment that was recommended quite some time ago. And sort of, there was some resistance there. I know that there's going to need to be some time of stabilization when she is no longer an inpatient treatment. I think for those reasons, it is appropriate. I know that we're not a permanency planning hearing, but we would just ask for this case to continue on the path of reunification and set it for a 90-day review. Seems like there's good rapport with Ms. Brinker and Ms. McGee, and they are able to figure out the parenting time. As it relates to the pending show cause, I know that sort of was a byproduct of Ms. McGee's continued substance use at the late stage of her pregnancy, and needing really to safeguard that child. I don't think that it's appropriate anymore. I know that she's seeking treatment. She has maintained her sobriety for the last couple of weeks. So we would ask for that to be dismissed at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Brooks?
With respect to Mr. Stage, the road ahead is still unknown to us. And so I will have to rely on Ms. Brinker to keep us informed of what the outcome of the next step in his journey is going to be and what the results are. Then we'll know a little more about what his position can even practically be.
Mr.
We
McFarland?
have no objection to dismissing the contempt of court against my client. I think she has a good game plan of what she wants to do. I think we've heard, we've lost her again, unfortunately. I'll wait just one moment. She's reappearing. Thank you. She's here again. As I said, Mom has a game plan how to succeed. Matter of fact, that game plan is above and beyond, I think, what the court would order. That she wants to continue with daily drug testing to avoid any temptation, Your Honor, and to keep accountability on herself. And I think it's very poignant, her statement that she presented to the court today. And like any case, time will tell. We've lost her again, but I think we're on a really good path. So I would ask that we continue the permanency as a goal. Like I repeat, I would ask that we keep permanency as a goal. Thank you.
Reunification?
Reunification, Your Honor. Yes, thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
Yes, I agree with reunification as the goal, and I don't have any other closing. Thank you.
Thank you. The court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's review hearing. I concur, and I want to say I'm glad to see Ms. McGee doing well and taking ownership of her sobriety today and the fact that that means for her and her family, potentially. We still await the DNA testing for Mr. Schuyler's stage, and he remains unavailable for placement. Ms. McGee is making progress, but she is not yet at the place where we can recognize that progress as a reduction of risk to the extent that I could allow the children to be returned to her. She needs to demonstrate a period of sobriety that we can all count on. Most of all, her children show us that she's been able to find a place to live that's safe and secure for the children, and employment so that she can support them and meet their needs, physical, medical, and otherwise. And they are in the safest and least restrictive placement where they are now, doing well in their foster care placement. So they will remain there pending our next review hearing. The goal of reunification will remain in place. I do find the department through the agency is certainly making reasonable efforts towards reunification. Thank you. Thank you also to our guardian ad litem and to our advocates. And that being said, we'll set our next court date as another look at permanency, but also a review of the services. Mr. Stage, if you're able to access any services in whatever facility you're at, please make sure that you forward that along to the caseworker and keep a hold of her information, and we'll ask her to do the same to sort of keep track of you as she has been, so that if there are some services you're able to get into, that you can share those with her and with us as well. We'll have our next review.
Will this also be a permanency planning hearing or not?
Yes, and permanency planning hearing. We have some time. Friday, the 21st of June at 9:30.
Your Honor, I will not be here that day, and I will make sure I put that on the calendars. Go on the 20th,
Yes, Your Honor.
24th.
I'm also out from June 21st through the 4th of July week.
Okay.
Must be nice.
Very well. So options include a hearing in front of the referee. Oh, no. Options include the second week of July. I guess, looks like we've got an opening. It may end up being in front of the referee at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, July 9th.
Okay.
Is that Tuesday the 9th or is that Wednesday?
Wednesday the 10th, sorry. Wednesday the 10th at 9. Will that work for everyone?
Yes.
Sure.
All right, so July 10th at 9 a.m. for purposes of review and permanency planning. Doesn't sound like there's any other major issues that need to be addressed today, other than to simply say good luck to our parents who are here today. Any questions?
Before my client leaves, can we get an address off the record as she'll be exiting her placement? I want to make sure we have a good place to get information to her.
Do you have that already, Ms. Brinker?
It's in my court report. It's the Onstead address.
Yes, I think I heard that. She's returning to where she was residing before or at some point. So, thank you. And if anything changes as that
She's raising her finger.
progresses, Ms. McGee will expect you to give that information over as soon as possible to Ms. Brinker.
Okay, she's giving you a thumbs up, Your Honor. That's what